imagining you. So, the couple of focals Michigan. So, while Medus and Ahas Orm Falcha occur river our Kurturi, Craig and Scala, the High and Cade, Emmett, La, Nabratna, Le Wrench, Blanta and Nus. While Falcha occur river Kairla, Board Edges, August Elena, Dunanal, and Corler, Barry Sweeney, August Arbal, then Board Banashjat, Noel Jordan, August Goharia, Erchakta Dala, Pierce Doherty. Tashi Inta ave in on curry a torch the curtry ischa skull a reach. So we are assembled here to pay our respects to our national flag and all that it represents during these difficult times in Europe. I think we can appreciate the importance of peace and sovereignty of small nations against the threat of larger invaders. Thomas Francis Marr was the first nationalist and leader of the Young Irelanders in the rebellion of 1848. Angry at the British government for the famine, which is ongoing, he was committed to an all-Ireland struggle for independence and democratic reform. He had gone to France to study revolutionary events there and returned to Ireland with the new flag of Ireland, a tricolour of green, white and orange, made by and given to them by the French women sympathetic to the Irish cause. The flag was to represent the aspiration of peace in our country in all 32 counties of Ireland. The first tricolour was flown on the 7th of March 1848 from the Wolf Tone Club in Waterford over 174 years ago. During the 1916 Easter Rising, the green and white and orange flag was hoisted aloft at the GPO on Easter Monday as a signal of both national freedom and unity, and we gather here today to see it fly once more. The return of the group from France was celebrated by a banquet at which 2,000 of the nationalists of Dublin attended. Mr. Marr presented a tricolour through the president of the banquet to the citizens of Dublin.
I went to France animated with a love of freedom and glorying in its service. I returned from France with this love deepened in my soul, worshipping no other object on this earth, save that one radiant and stately image, to which in Paris, in Vienna, in Palermo, the breath of the people has imparted life, vigour, and immortal beauty. For any fate to which this love and worship may impel me, I am not only willing, but ambitious.
Mingling in the crowds that gathered round the trees of liberty, which the brave hands that built the barricades have planted, to commemorate the virtue, the invincibility of the people, contemplating those simple ceremonies in which the enthusiasm of the most gifted and gallant nation in the world displays itself so gently and so grandly. Turning from these scenes and looking upon the wounded of the 24th of February, sufferers over whose features the consciousness of having played a glorious part had diffused a glow of health and rapture, and from whose lips there escaped no selfish penitence for the blood which their heart had offered up. Finding those sick beds resorted to by the fairest and highest of the land, and the sufferers honoured more loyally than ever kings were honoured. Following then the coffin of some poor fellow who had died of his secret wounds, and round whose pale and waving palm leaf mingled with and mellowed the glittering of the bayonet and the golden cross, beholding there the holy homage which a free state is sure to render those whose blood had made her free. A witness of all these scenes, I have become reckless of that life which cautious legal men, grand jurors of the city, attorney generals of the English crown, solemn judges in red cloth and ermine, men of withered hearts and cunning brain, would exhort you to preserve, for the sake of peace and place, the gold dust of the crown, and all the other perquisites of enlightened slavery.
For Paris, the city of the tricolour and the barricade, this flag has been proudly borne. I present it to my native land, and I trust that the old country will not refuse this symbol of a new life from one of her youngest children. I need not explain its meaning. The quick and passionate intellect of the generation now springing into arms will catch it at a glance. The white in the centre signifies a lasting truce between the orange and the green, and I trust that beneath its folds, the hands of the Irish Protestant and the Irish Catholic may be clasped in generous and heroic brotherhood.
Now we will have Luke and Rachel hoist the flag. So, Kathy, you want to Now we will have the national anthem. So,
Then I want you to sing out your very best.
we will now have 2 songs from our group of y'all as well. Our chairperson for the Galton UCB, Mr. Barry Sweeney, or Councillor Barry Sweeney, sorry, will be like to say a few words.
Cormac Dara agus Gormai agah Gulera sucked on Cora and you, Kalashta na Carriga. It's honor more new agus on Greenig Tatnov agus Dabrai. Neil Mogelga on way more a clutch too. So I'll speak Osquerla freshen, but it's a great honour to be here and to come down and see such a wonderful school, and I'm sure you are all as well behaved every day, but it's great to see the lovely setting that we're in here in Carrick and the facility that you have, and you should be proud of the facility that you have here, and I think it bodes good for the area to have such a good school in the area, and to have the musicians here is also brilliant with the tradition of traditional music in the area. It's great to see it alive and well and kicking in Carrick. Today's a special day, Lá na Brataí, and it's nice to think and reflect on our national flag and keep it in our hearts all the time and remember the symbolism of it. And I think, you know, two of the words we're talking about today is pride and respect for the flag. It's always very important to have that within your hearts. Thomas Maher, I didn't really know too much about Thomas Maher until I was asked to paint a picture of him. I'm an artist as well, and I painted a picture of him once as part of a decoration for a pub, would you believe it, in a casino in Las Vegas, and it was shipped over, and there's a painted of Thomas Maher on a wall of a casino in a pub called Nine Fine Irishmen. So I don't know if that sits just perfectly right or not, but he's known throughout the world, and obviously he's played his part in the fight for Ireland and also during the Civil War in America. So it's nice to remember him today, and I don't want to say too much, but you know, Gurmila Michael there, and enjoy the rest of the day, and have a great St. Patrick's Day tomorrow. Enjoy it and wear your green, and it's also probably a day that we might be thinking of the colours of blue and yellow as well when we see another nation struggling, and whatever Ireland can do to help our friends from Ukraine, it's really important that we as communities and as a government do as much as we possibly can to help people who are much less fortunate than we are here today. Thank you, everybody.
Gurmaigat Dara agus Gurmaigat fáin choú ben seo le buniu Kalash na Carriga agus an Ardweister Maximnia fáine an coú le couple of focal in seo ar an le specialty seo le na Brataí agus choú ceist arm sé couple of focal for the day healing and Brat Nation the Dusa go Parsonta agus choú sin Huntasiinish. I'm delighted to be with you. I thought the music was fantastic and the great tradition of fiddle playing in this area. It's great to see a younger generation keeping that alive, and it's a very special day, as was mentioned in relation to a day that we remember our national flag. And 25 years ago I left secondary school, but your teachers are still assigning me with homework because they asked me to do a 5-minute kind of piece about what the national flag means to me. And you've heard about the history of the flag and how it came to be adopted as the flag of our nation. And what it means to me is wrapped up in that history, but also what it says of our future together as a nation and for future generations such as yours. So where did the flag come from? Well, as we heard, it was first flown by Thomas Maher in Waterford City in 1848. Maher was the leader of the Young Irelanders, and Maher and the Young Ireland movement were inspired by the revolutions that were taking place in other parts throughout the world, in Paris, in Berlin, and in elsewhere in Europe at the time. and they wanted to build an independent Ireland, an Ireland that was free, and one that was based on the principles of justice and equality. And this vision of Ireland was very different from the Ireland that they knew and that they lived in at that time, because that Ireland was an Ireland that was suffering, an Ireland that was in the middle of a famine, an Ireland that was still under British rule, that was unfree, that was impoverished, and they wanted something better for their country, for their people. And on the 7th of March 1848, Thomas Maher flew the flag we know today, and he flew it from the Wolf Tone Confederate Club in Waterford City. There are two things to notice about the flag: its shape and its colours. Firstly, as we know, it's a tricolour, inspired by the French flag and the French revolutions of 1789 and 1848. In Ireland, for people like Wolfe Tone and Thomas Maher, these revolutions represented freedom and equality, sweeping away the injustices of the old system and building something new. And our flag, the tricolour, it reminds us then of these principles that our nation should strive towards. A fact of history that's important to me is that after he first flew the flag in Waterford City, William Maher travelled to Paris, as we heard from the students reading out. He travelled to Paris in April, just a month later, to congratulate the French for overthrowing the king at that time. And when he was there, a group of French women wove the Irish tricolour from the finest French silk and presented it to him, which he brought back and presented it to the citizens of Ireland. And for me, it should not be lost on anyone that just like the women who wove the Irish tricolour of the finest silk, that women have been rightly to the forefront of the struggle to build an Irish republic that we can be proud of. Of course, what makes the Irish tricolour different from the French tricolour is its colours of green, of white and of orange. The green representing the Irish nationalism and Gaelic traditions, and in religious terms, the Irish Catholic tradition. The orange represented the minority at that time, the Protestant tradition, the Orange tradition. And the white represented the peace which the Young Irelanders and Republicans before and after wanted to see endure between the two traditions. In the words of Maher himself, he said, "The white in the centre signifies a lasting truce between orange and green, and I trust that beneath its folds, the hands of the Irish Protestant and the Irish Catholic may be clasped in a generous and heroic brotherhood." Saying this, he was also echoing the words of the father of Irish republicanism, Theobald Wolfe Tone, when he said, "To break the connection with England and to assert the independence of my country, to unite the whole people of Ireland and to substitute the common name of Irish men in place of the denomination of Protestant, Catholic and Dissenter. That task is yet to be completed, and that is why to me the national flag is not just a symbol or colours on a piece of thread, but it is a call to action, to complete the unfinished job and task of Irish reunification and to build a republic that cherishes all of the children of the nation equally. Of course, in 1848, the rebellion of Maher and the Young Irelanders failed, and the flag was not flown again until 1916, when it flew up on top of the GPO for 7 days as part of the Easter Rising. Just like when Maher flew it in Waterford City for 7 days before it was forcibly removed by the British at that time. So that's the history of our flag, and it's clear that the national flag has so much to say about our future. It represents overcoming divisions. It represents building a lasting peace in our country and between the two traditions and many other traditions in our country now today. And that work is still ongoing, and we all have our part to play in that. That division today is represented through the partition of our country, and overcoming that division and building a lasting peace will not be complete, in my view, until we achieve national reunification. Building a republic based on the principles of Maher, based on the principles of freedom, of justice, of equality that the tricolour represents, and building that republic is a responsibility of all of us, because it's not just territory, it's what we do here and now. It's about helping our neighbours, it's about looking after those who are less fortunate than us, looking after our classmates that you do every single day. And for these reasons, the national flag for me is more important today than it ever was. Finishing the project that Maher, that Wolfe Tone, that others who flew that flag on the first day back in 1848, and building that real republic and showing that generosity of what a republic really means. And it was saying by Councillor Sweeney, at a time we need to be generous and we need to stretch ourselves, particularly as we will in this part of our county and in this part of our country as well, as we will be over the next number of weeks and months welcoming families who are fleeing a war-torn situation, like where Maher was in 1848 when the British occupied and ruled this country, when there was rebellions and uprising, that people, family, children will be coming to Donegal and elsewhere looking for sanctuary, looking for safety. And all of us, political leaders, educators, but you as well as students, have a responsibility to make sure that that Céad Míle Fáilte that we so echo, particularly on St. Patrick's Day, is extended to all of those people who will come here for sanctuary. So Gurmaigab, and thanks for the opportunity to explain what the national flag, our national flag, means to me. Gurmaigab.
Look, I'd like to take this opportunity of thanking you for the invite to come down here today, where we're here to honour our Irish flag and what it means to us, and how proud we are of this, of the green, white and orange. And look, it could be no better setting where we look out at Bunglass here. It's such a lovely setting here, and just to commend you also on the beautiful music and the tradition that's been kept up here in